Scientists have figured out that every 30 million years or so, the universe hits the reset button on Earth with a massive extinction event. Each time it happens, it's like a brand new drama with totally different causes and consequences. No reruns here. Guess what? Most extinctions, even the ones that wipe out huge chunks of life, don't completely break the planet. Mother Nature's a superhero, bouncing back faster than you recovering from an all-nighter. Sometimes it only takes a few generations for everything to chill out again. But hold up, it's not always that smooth. Some events, known as the big extinctions, are so brutal they erase over 75% of all species. Over the past 500 million years, we've had the Big Five, the ultimate A-list of extinction events. Among them, the Permo-Triassic extinction, aka the Great Dying, is the final boss, smashing everything to bits. It's been trending lately for its sheer terrifying savagery. Then there's the KT extinction, when a massive asteroid slammed into Earth, wiping out the dinosaurs, except the ones that could fly. That one's famous, like a pop star everyone knows and talks about. But here's the plot twist. It's not even the worst. It doesn't crack the top two. The real MVP, criminally underrated and barely mentioned, is the end-Ordovician extinction. This bad boy makes the KT event look like a warm-up act and even outshines the Great Dying in a few ways. Plus, it was the first of the Big Five, kicking off the whole disaster saga. Ready for this, because we're about to rewind time to a world weirder than any sci-fi flick to see what went down. Picture Earth during the Ordovician period, about 486 million years ago. Back then, our planet was straight up a waterlogged wonderland. Land, just a bunch of barren islands, not a single tall tree in sight. But the seas and oceans massive, endless, like they owned the whole world. At times, sea levels were up to 600 meters higher than today. Can you imagine if that happened now? We'd be living in a real-life Waterworld movie. Even the safe lands would be soaked. Thanks to a hot, humid climate with rain pouring down like a monsoon, those high sea levels would drown most coastal cities. But if you dove into the ocean, oh wow, that's a whole different story. Under the waves, it was a bustling universe, like the Coachella of creatures. Except the guest list wasn't like modern animals. These guys looked like aliens, with all sorts of weirdness that'd make your jaw drop. Big props go to the corals. These spineless wonders had been bawling for a while, but in the Ordovician, they leveled up. Building massive coral reefs across the globe, think underwater metropolises where thousands of species partied and lived. Among the crowd, the endocerids stole the show. They were a group of ancient cephalopods, like distant cousins of today's squids, but long extinct. These guys were wildly diverse, and some were absolute units. The biggest Camarasaurus and Endoceras had shells stretching up to 9.14 meters. That's 30 feet just for the shell in reality. They could have been over 10% longer. Rumor has it the biggest bosses weighed a ton, like the first ever heavyweight champs of the animal kingdom. With tentacles strong as a bodybuilder and a razor-sharp beak that shredded anything, endocrines were the ultimate predator bosses cruising the ocean floor, ready to meet any unlucky prey in their sights. One of their favorite snacks, trilobites. Sounds weird, right? But you gotta know these guys, they were the superstars of the era. Living hundreds of millions of years ago, trilobites had over 22,000 species, coming in all shapes and sizes, thriving in every corner of the ocean. Some were bold enough to crawl onto land. They were everywhere, in every environment, but sadly, their fame made them prime targets. Not just for endocerids, but for other predators too, like eurypterids, aka sea scorpions. Speaking of sea scorpions, these dudes were the bad boys of the ocean. They came in all sorts of shapes and sizes. Some used their appendages to scoop up prey, others grabbed tight, and some tore stuff apart like a blender. Their tails were just as wild, each one unique. Some had paddle-like tails for speedy swimming, and others had non-venomous stingers that stabbed prey like a martial arts master. Back then, they hadn't hit peak fame that came later in the Silurian period, so many were still pretty small. But, like any good drama, there's always an exception. Some eurypterids were human-sized, like, don't mess with me. These top-tier predators left fossils showing they chowed down on jawless fish, trilobites. and even their kind. If you thought sea scorpions were freaky, buckle up for conodonts. These critters are straight out of a horror flick. Picture this super weird eel-like creatures with freakishly big eyes and the most bizarre mouths you've ever seen. Inside those mouths, a full-on arsenal that scientists call teeth. But these aren't your average chompers. They're so sharp, they're only 1/12 the width of a human hair. Tiny, but deadly, like razor blades. They were the ocean's nightmare fuel. And get this, they cruised around every layer of the water. Not just the seafloor, so there was no escaping them. But wait, there's more. The oceans were also home to radiodonts, creatures that look like they just walked off the set of a sci-fi blockbuster. They were so diverse, you name a way to take down prey, and one of them was probably doing it. Some were straight-up assassin hunters, others sifted through muck for snacks, and some just floated around slurping plankton. The star of the show, Aerocasses, a massive radiodont bigger than a human, chilling off the coast of what's now Morocco. But hold up, the drama wasn't just underwater. Head to land, day or night, and look up. You'd see shimmering rings in the sky. Yup, Earth back then had a Saturn-style ring system, and it was way cool. Scientists found a ton of alondrite meteorites stuck in Ordovician rocks, enough to figure out that 500 million years ago, a massive space rock got shredded by Earth's gravity, forming a dazzling ring. The result, a 40-million-year meteor shower extravaganza with shooting stars raining down 100 times more often than today. Imagine standing there, the vast ocean in front of you, glowing rings overhead, and meteors streaking by. It's prettier than any Instagram filter, right? But like all good movies, the beauty didn't last. Around 445 million years ago, Earth got hit with its first game over in the Big Five extinction lineup. This was the end-Ordovician mass extinction, or LOM for short, a real drama queen that other extinctions look up to. The cause, oh man. Scientists are still bickering like it's a reality show, with no one agreeing. One theory a lot of folks vibe with is that things got cold like Earth got tossed into a cosmic deep freezer. The Herian Ice Age rolled in, plunging the planet into darkness and kicking off a chain of catastrophes we're about to dive into next. Let's rewind to 445 million years ago. The Herian Ice Age, the mastermind behind the end-Ordovician mass extinction, takes the stage. Scientists call this the deep freeze era, when Earth flipped to lights out, nap time mode, plunging into darkness. Ice blanketed everything Africa, South America, even parts of North America, with a mind-boggling 250 million cubic kilometers of ice. That's 10 times the ice in today's Antarctic, which holds 61% of the world's fresh water. This wasn't the kind of ice age where mammoths were chilling, it was a whole other level of frosty. Temperatures plummeted by over 8 degrees, that's 14.4 degrees. Picture living in New York, and suddenly the weather turns into Iceland, but way worse. This cold had every creature shivering like they'd been dunked in an ice bucket in the dead of winter. As the ice spread, it slurped up seawater, dropping ocean levels by 125 meters, 410 feet, that wrecked habitats, especially the fancy coral reefs where tons of creatures were thriving. They got smashed to bits, like spilling boba tea all over your keyboard. To make matters worse, the exposed seafloor was full of rocks and minerals that sucked up CO2 when weathered, making Earth even colder and pushing species to the brink. Nature wasn't playing games, it was throwing punches, leaving underwater life in shambles. You'd think this drama would blow over like a quick storm, but nope. This ice age dragged on for 35 million years, outlasting entire geological periods. It wasn't a rip-the-Band-Aid off situation, it was more like peeling it slowly, sticking it back, then peeling again, with lingering pain. During this time, the Ordovician extinction kicked off with its first wave of devastation. Like a round-one knockout, the hardest hit were brachiopods, echinoderms, trilobites, and bryozoans. Weirdly, While shallow waters practically turned into dry land, deep-sea creatures got slammed even harder. Paleontologists say a global oxygen shortage turned the oceans toxic, choking animal cells. And just to mess things up more, random warm spells popped up, like the weather was straight-up trolling. While the small fry got obliterated, the big shots weren't safe either. Tons of eurypterids, sea scorpions, and cephalopods think ancient squids vanished. The radiodonts, they took a brutal beating. Bottom line, no one was safe in this bone-chilling freeze fest. Remember Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park? That dude dropped the ultimate cool line, "Life finds a way." And you know what? He was right. Even after the end-Ordovician mass extinction, aka the LOM, landed a knockout punch, life refused to tap out. The surviving animals didn't just hang on, they leveled up with brand new groups, adapting like champs in that freezing, watery world. These guys were called Hernanchian animals, like fresh-off-the-press warriors stepping out of an epic battle. But don't think everything was chill right away. This was still a hot mess, and the drama was far from over. While the bone-chilling cold was already making life miserable, some studies threw in a wild plot twist. As oxygen in the water tanked, toxic metals started seeping into the seafloor. The star of this horror show, Mercury. Just hearing that name gives you the creeps. This stuff messed up the lower rungs of the food chain, like torching the ingredients for a buffet. The result, the whole food chain collapsed, like a house built on sand. For any creature still kicking, this was a never-ending nightmare. Like, when does the suffering stop? You'd think the Ice Age wrapping up would bring some relief. But nope. Earth had another trick up its sleeve. When the ice started melting, it triggered a second wave of destruction, totally different from the first, called the second pulse. Imagine this: you just got used to teeth chattering cold, and then boom, you're tossed into a hot tub. Who could handle that? Around 420 million years ago, the Ice Age suddenly waved the white flag, maybe because it was so intense it burned itself out. We're not talking a little ice here. This was bigger than anything from the Mesozoic, heavy as a freaking megacity. Eventually, it collapsed under its weight, flooding into the oceans and sending sea levels skyrocketing. That kicked off global warming like Earth cranked the heater to the max. The creatures used to icy waters were just standing there like, what's happening? But wait, there's more. As the ice melted, it dumped a ton of nutrients into the sea, and with sunlight suddenly blasting in, algae went wild, blooming like crazy. The oceans got smothered in algae like a neon green filter slapped over Instagram. Sure, it looked pretty, but the consequences were brutal. The algae sucked up all the oxygen, wiping out tons of the surviving species. In this whirlwind of melting ice and algae explosions, Earth got hit with a 1-2 punch. When the dust settled, not much was left. Between 49% and 60% of marine species were wiped out, since pretty much all life back then was underwater. That means half of Earth's life was gone. The victims included a third of brachiopod families, tons of crustacean groups, corals, and trilobites. Those guys lost 50% of their families. Despite being super tough, this time they never bounced back. Back in the Ordovician, most of the land was chilling way down south, farther than it is now. Tectonic plates were lazily shoving things around, especially the supercontinent Gondwana, nudging it closer and closer to the South Pole. The result, ice started forming, and bam, Ice Age time. Sounds legit. Right. But hold up. Tectonic plates move slower than a snail on a coffee break, and this Ice Age hit fast, like TikTok drama going viral. Nowadays, folks think geography alone can't explain this plot twist. Something bigger had to go down. Among the theories, this one's pure sci-fi gold. Picture a star exploding in a massive supernova, blasting gamma rays that slam into Earth. Sounds like a Hollywood script, doesn't it? Back in the early 2000s, some scientists bet on a gamma ray burst from 6,000 light-years away. As the main villain, in just 10 seconds, it could have punched Earth so hard it obliterated the ozone layer's oxygen, reacted with nitrogen, and triggered a flash freeze. And that's not all. This blast would have shredded half the ozone layer, leaving creatures exposed to deadly UV rays, especially in the crystal-clear Ordovician seas. It's like Earth got roasted by the cosmos. But here's the tea, this theory doesn't have many fans. It's cool as heck, but a bit too out there to believe. If a supernova isn't dramatic enough for you, here's another theory that's next-level intense. A giant asteroid smashed into Earth like the one that needed the dinosaurs, but this time even bigger. In 2023, scientists found a buried structure in Australia that looks like an asteroid crater, dubbed Denali Quinn. If it's legit, this crater is 3 times bigger than the one from the KT extinction, with a diameter of 520 kilometers, that's 320 miles. Trust me, a hit like that wouldn't just wipe out life, it could easily kickstart an ice age. But hold your horses, researchers say they need to dig deeper, literally and figuratively, to confirm. For now, it's just a spine-chilling possibility, like what if it's true while theories like supernovas or asteroids sound insanely cool, the idea with the most fans is drumroll volcanoes. Yup, those smoky, erupting mountains are like the usual suspects in extinction dramas. They've got a habit of stirring up trouble whenever they blow their tops. Some folks swear that's exactly what went down in the Ordovician. Normally, you'd think a volcanic eruption would heat Earth, like the Great Dying, right? But this time, volcanic activity, possibly from what's now Iran, flipped the script. They spewed out tons of sulfur, flash freezing the planet. That said, a small squad of volcano stands argue it was a super-fast heat spike from an eruption that wrecked everything. Who knows, all we can say is volcanoes are the ultimate drama queens of geology. But wait, there's more. The list of suspects is as long as social media drama. Some point fingers at that shiny ring around Earth, saying its giant shadow messed up the climate. Others even blame life itself. They think plants invading the land sucked up all the CO2, leaving the planet ice cold. It's like the universe and the greenery teamed up to troll Earth. Anyway, the argument over the culprit will probably drag on for years, like never-ending fandom drama with no finale in sight. Whatever the cause, one thing's as clear as 1 + 1, 2 O's. You would not want to be any creature or anything at all. Living back then, the end-Ordovician mass extinction was peak drama, turning Earth into a disaster movie stage with an ice age, algae blooms, and a ton of species getting wiped out. It wasn't just a dark chapter, it's a reminder that Earth knows how to go big when it wants to. Lucky for us, we're just chilling here. Whatever the cause, one thing is as certain as 1 + 1 = 2. You don't want to be an object or anything living in that time. The final Ordovician extinction was a high-octane drama, turning the Earth into a disaster theater with ice ages, storms, and a whole lot of wiped-out life. It's not just a dark show. It's a reminder that Earth knows how to go big when you want it to. Good thing we're just sitting here drinking bubble tea and telling this story, right?